Mason and I've been with my girlfriend Isabella for just over 3 years, living together for the last year and a half. She works in the marketing department of a mid-sized company. I'm not in the same department, but we work in the same building. That's actually how we met. Cafeteria run gone right. Back then, I liked her confidence. Now, I'm starting to think she's just overconfident. Like, if she were a superhero, her power would be never admitting she's wrong. Levels of overconfident. We live in my apartment. My lease. My furniture. My name on every bill. When she moved in, we set it up simple. I cover rent and insurance. She covers groceries and utilities. Never saw a reason to put her on the lease. Honestly, that decision's aging better than fine wine. It's a Tuesday. Not the exciting kind. No holiday, no free donuts in the break room. Just a regular, soul-sucking middle-of-the-week Tuesday. I'm halfway through my turkey sandwich. Nothing fancy. Just turkey, lettuce, and the tears of a man who knows he'll be back at his desk in 15 minutes when I see her. Isabella. My girlfriend of 3 years, cohabitation partner for the last year and a half, destroyer of my peaceful lunch break. And she's not alone. Nope, she's got Theo with her. Theo. Mr. Always in a fitted shirt. The kind of guy who probably sets calendar reminders for smolder practice in front of the mirror. Mid-30s, perfect hair, probably owns more hair product than my entire bathroom cabinet. I don't hate the guy, but lately, I've been seeing his face more often than my own in her Instagram stories, which is saying something because I live with her. They stroll over like it's some rom-com meet cute, except I'm already sitting there with my coworkers. Theo flashes this grin like he's auditioning for a toothpaste ad, and Isabella's all breezy confidence, pulling up a chair like she owns the cafeteria. We do the usual harmless chatter, work stuff, small talk, someone complaining about printer jams like it's the greatest tragedy of our time. Then this woman at the table mentions her husband getting mad because she booked a weekend trip without telling him first. Oh my God, he flipped out, the woman says. Like I'm not allowed to have a life? There's some sympathetic laughter, a couple of people nodding in solidarity, one guy joking. Yeah, I'd be sleeping on the couch for a month if I did that. Everyone's throwing in their 2 cents. And then, of course, Isabella jumps in. She leans back, smirks like she's about to drop the mic, and says loud enough for the next table to hear. If I want to go somewhere with someone, I'm going to go. End of story. She says it while looking straight ahead, but Theo gives this little smirk like he's in on something. Not the kind of smirk you give when someone tells a good joke, more the kind you give when you've got front row tickets to a show nobody else knows about. My buddy Austin from IT catches it too. He shoots me this glance across the table that basically says, you catching this? I set my sandwich down, because clearly, I'm not going to finish lunch without a side of suspicion and grin. That's an interesting philosophy, I say, keeping it casual. She shrugs, spearing a piece of lettuce like it personally offended her. It's just facts. Yeah, I say. And facts usually come with details. Speaking of, where are you going, and with who? Now she's the one pausing mid-bite. You know that split-second freeze when you catch a raccoon in your trash? That's her right now. I didn't say I was going anywhere, she says, tilting her head like I'm the one losing it. You just did. I reply, still smiling because nothing irritates a defensive person more than a calm smile. Let's hear it. She huffs, like I just accused her of grand larceny instead of asking a question. It's nothing. Theo and I have to fly out next month for a client meeting. Just a quick trip. No need to act like I'm disappearing for a month. What client? I ask. She stabs her fork into her salad hard enough to make the croutons nervous. You wouldn't know them. It's industry specific. Try me, I say, leaning in just a touch. Her eyes narrow. Just a bit. Enough to let me know we've left pleasant conversation town and are now heading into Defensiveville. Why are you grilling me over lunch? It's work. I lean back in my chair, all casual-like. You brought it up. I'm just asking questions. Isn't that what adults do? She gives this fake laugh, the kind that's all teeth and no humor, and turns the conversation back to someone else at the table. Smooth pivot. Theo's just sitting there chewing like he's watching the season finale of a show he's been binging. But in my head, I'm already filing this away under pay attention. See, I'm not the type to blow up over lunch in front of half the floor. I've got patience, and I've learned that when someone gets defensive over basic questions, it's either because they're hiding something or they've been rehearsing answers in their head for a while. Either way, you don't tip your hand too early. We finish lunch and they leave together, her and Theo, like it's the most normal thing in the world. Austin lingers for a second, giving me that dude face. That was weird, he says quietly. I just nod. No need to unpack that in the middle of the cafeteria like we're on a daytime talk show. Back at my desk, I pull up the shared work calendar she usually updates whenever she's got travel. Nothing. Not even a little placeholder event like potential client trip, TBD. Which is weird, because Isabella's the kind of person who puts return flights in there before she's even booked outbound flights. Normally, she'd have flight numbers, hotel bookings, meeting times, and probably a color-coded packing list. This time, crickets. I think about bringing it up that night, but that would be like waving a giant neon sign that says, "I'm watching you." If she's lying, the last thing I want is for her to know I'm checking her stories and piecing things together. Better to let her think I'm blissfully ignorant, so she keeps being sloppy. That night, she comes home like nothing happened, drops her bag, kicks off her shoes, asks me how my day was. I give her the usual same old, and she gives me hers in broad strokes, like a bad book summary. Work was fine, traffic was bad. Oh, and I need new shoes. No mention of any client meeting. No mention of any trip. Not even a hint. We cooked dinner together, nothing fancy, just pasta, while she's laughing at some video on her phone. I'm stirring sauce when I catch it. In the reflection of the microwave door, she's messaging Theo. And I mean actively typing back and forth, not just liking a cat meme. Do I say anything? Nope. My face stays neutral. Inside, I'm thinking great. Add that to the evidence pile. Later, lying in bed, she's next to me with her laptop, supposedly answering emails. The brightness is low enough for plausible deniability, but not low enough to hide Theo's name glowing at the top of the screen. I don't lean over. I don't ask. I don't snoop. I just make a mental note. If she's this casual about it now, she's going to slip. And when she slips, I'll be ready. By the time I'm half asleep, the plan's already forming. I'm not going to nag her about where she's going. I'm not going to get jealous in front of her friends. I'm going to let her think I'm completely fine with whatever she's doing, because the more relaxed she is, the more she'll leave evidence lying around. And when I make my move, I want it to be airtight. So, Wednesday morning, I start paying attention like I'm running an audit. Not in a creepy peering over her shoulder while breathing heavily way. Just observing. Picking up details most people ignore. What time she leaves. What time she comes back. How much detail she volunteers about her day without me asking. Who she's texting when her phone lights up. Sure enough, patterns start showing up fast. Thursday morning, she leaves the apartment in what I'd call business casual with a wink. Blouse tucked into jeans. Jeans, mind you, not slacks. Hair down, and perfume I've never smelled on her before. Not the usual fresh linen or citrus either. No, this one smells like it's got a marketing budget. I've got to meet a vendor before heading into the office, she says while scrolling her phone. Vendor in jeans, I say, pretending to be impressed. That's bold branding. She laughs like I'm being ridiculous, grabs her bag, and heads out. Only, she leaves earlier than she normally does. Interesting. Later that morning, I check the building's garage security app. Perk of living in a place with an HOA that basically runs the neighborhood like it's a small surveillance state. Her car? Still gone past lunch. Finally, around 1:30 p.m., she rolls back in. No shopping bags. No vendor samples. Not even a sad little branded pen. Just walks straight in, changes clothes like she's doing a costume change for Act 2, and heads to work. I don't ask a single question. I just type in my phone. Thursday, vendor, meeting before office. Gone 5.5 hours, no bags. Friday, same deal, but with more commitment. She's up earlier than me, full face of makeup. Like, first date makeup. What's the occasion? I ask, leaning in the doorway. Internal training, she says, brushing blush across her cheek. Yes, I nod. Can't train internally without a perfect contour. She rolls her eyes, grabs her bag, and leaves. Internal training apparently also includes Theo's silver SUV being parked 2 spots over from hers in the company lot when I swing by later that day to drop off a laptop charger for Austin. I don't go inside, no need. I just see enough to confirm they're there together, not in a meeting room, but walking toward his car. My phone camera is good enough to catch the time, date, and a nice little shot of them leaving together. Not blurry, not questionable, courtroom exhibit quality. I'm not collecting this stuff to throw in her face now. No. I'm building a wall she can't climb over later. Brick by brick. Saturday, we're both off work and she's suddenly acting very sweet. Offers to make breakfast, eggs, toast, even juice. Asks if I want to go see a movie. It's the kind of sugarcoating people do right after they've dinged your car and are hoping you won't notice until next week. Classic overcompensation. I play along. Keep it light. Smile. Laugh. Pretend I'm just another clueless boyfriend who doesn't know vendor meeting is code for something else. We do dinner that night, and halfway through, between bites, she casually drops it. Oh, I'll be out late next Tuesday for a client prep dinner with Theo. No invite for me, Obviously. Prep dinner. I ask, spearing another bite of chicken. For the big meeting you mentioned? She nods. Yeah. Theo wants to make sure we're both on the same page before flying out. I keep chewing like this is all perfectly reasonable. What's the client's name again? I might know someone there. She freezes. Not long enough for most people to notice, but I'm watching for it. Then, smile back in place, she says, you wouldn't. It's a niche market. That's cool, I say, leaning back. Send me the name later. Just curious. She changes the subject faster than a politician caught with a burner phone. Monday, I decide to verify this client once and for all. I do a quick search using the few vague details she's given me. And sure enough, the company exists. But their headquarters are on the other side of the country, and their website? Not a single mention of any events, meetings, or expansions in our city. I make another note. Client exists. No meeting scheduled locally. Translation, she's lying. Now, I've got enough to know it's not just my gut talking. This is a full fabrication. But instead of confronting her, I start thinking about timing. The cleanest way to make a point is in front of an audience that matters to her, not just her friends. They'll take her side no matter what. Her professional world, that's different. That's where reputation actually matters. So, I loop in Austin, my best friend at work. Austin's the kind of guy who thrives on chaos, but only if the shrapnel hits the right people. The man once rearranged all the conference room names just to mess with an intern who thought she was too important to learn the layout. I give him the short version over coffee. Isabella's lying about this client trip. She's with Theo. I'm going to make sure everyone knows, but I need it to land hard. He leans back, grinning like I just handed him a winning lottery ticket. Public or private? Public, I say. And not just public, undeniable. Austin drums his fingers on the table. Upcoming department dinner. Technically it's for celebrating the record quarter, but I can convince the organizer to open it to a few more people for morale. He even does the air quotes. I can already picture it. Isabella and Theo, side by side. Their higher-ups sitting right there, HR included. Perfect. Austin's not done. Oh, and I already talked to the host. Told her you wanted to give a short team appreciation toast. She said it'd be great for morale. Perfect again. Only she has no idea my toast comes with streamers and evidence. But for this to work, I need airtight proof. Not gossip. Not suspicion. I need the kind of evidence that smacks them so hard across the face they don't even have time to fake a denial. So I step up my tracking subtly. No trench coat, no binoculars, just good old-fashioned paying attention. Tuesday night, her client prep dinner ends up being at a restaurant I know isn't anywhere near their clients' so-called industry hubs. I park across the street, far enough that she wouldn't notice my car even if she climbed on the roof and scanned the area with military-grade optics. I watch them walk out together, laughing, his hand on her back like he's guiding her through a romantic comedy montage. I take a burst of photos. The timestamps alone will kill any business dinner excuse dead. The next day, she leaves work early for errands. Convenient. See, I've got my buddy Dave in building security who owes me a favor. He's got clearance to pull clips for maintenance reviews, which apparently includes footage of suspicious coworkers. That afternoon, he sends me the hallway shot, Theo leaving right behind her, both heading toward the parking lot. And here's the thing, I'm not even asking for this stuff now. People are seeing what's happening and volunteering to help. It's like a community service project at this point. By Thursday, I've got enough for a small documentary. Photos of them leaving together multiple times. No official client meeting on record. Car logs showing she's gone for hours during vendor meetings. Her own words at lunch about going with someone and end of story. I mean, if this were a courtroom, we'd already be at closing arguments. Austin and I start planning the delivery like it's a product launch. He tells me, keep it smooth. No yelling, no swearing, just facts, presented like a toast. That way, you look composed and they look like idiots. I take a sip of coffee, grin. So basically, polite assassination? Exactly, he says, with applause at the end. I like the sound of that. Friday night, she's curled up on the couch scrolling her phone like she's searching for the meaning of life in Instagram reels. I'm at the table going over work stuff, which is technically true if you count editing my little side project as work. It's a framed print that looks like an award, complete with a gold border and fake company logo. At the bottom, in neat bold letters, Best After Hours Client Relations, with the date of one of their prep dinners. Right above it, the photo of them leaving the restaurant, smiling like they're in a rom-com where the twist ending is a workplace scandal. She has no clue. Why would she? I'm not giving her the slightest reason to suspect. If she thinks she's playing me, she'll walk right into the setup, blindfolded, holding a bouquet. When I finally go to bed, She's already half asleep, phone still in her hand. I lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, thinking about how ridiculously easy she made this. All I had to do was shut up, pay attention, and wait. She wanted to set the rules, but in the end, she's just a pawn in a game I'm controlling. By Monday, I've got enough to crush her client trip story without breaking a sweat. But that's not enough. I want it airtight. I don't want her to have any wiggle room. No, that's not what it looks like. No, you took it out of context. When I hit her with this, it's going to be in front of people who matter to her, professionally, socially, maybe even financially, and she's going to know there's nowhere to run. First thing, I decide to nail the coffin shut. I call the client's main office mid-morning, drop my voice into that fake professional tone you use when you don't want to sound suspicious, and say, "Hi, this is Mason from a partner firm. Just confirming the schedule for Theo and Isabella's visit." The receptionist, sweet voice, probably someone who actually believes in company values, puts me on hold. I get 30 seconds of elevator music, enough time to imagine Theo explaining synergy to a potted plant. Then she comes back. "Sorry, we don't have anything like that on our calendar." Perfect. That's all I need. Straight from the source. No meeting. No trip. Just a stack of lies wrapped in perfume. I head back to my desk and Austin's already in my chair, spinning slowly like a kid waiting for his mom at the DMV. He stops mid-rotation and smirks. "You've got that smug face." "I just confirmed our big client meeting is as real as a unicorn," I tell him. Austin grins like a man who's just been handed a winning lottery ticket. "So, dinner's happening." "Dinner's happening." Perfect. I bought 2 different party poppers. Still deciding between metallic streamers and confetti. "You've been thinking about this all weekend?" "I've been dreaming about this all weekend," he says, like he's talking about a trip to Bora Bora. That afternoon, I start pulling everything into one neat, bulletproof package. Screenshots from her texts. Photos of her and Theo leaving together. Timestamps from the garage log showing her car missing for hours during those mythical vendor meetings. Everything labeled, dated, and timed down to the minute. It's so organized it could go in a corporate training manual. How to ruin a workplace affair in 6 easy steps. By Wednesday, Austin's confirmed the seating chart for the quarterly dinner. "I worked my magic," he says, handing me a printout like it's classified intel. "You're 2 seats away from Isabella, directly across from Theo, and HR's table is right behind them." I know it, so they can't miss the look on my face. Or the popper, Austin adds. "Oh, and dessert's going to be something crumbly. That way, if anyone drops their fork mid-toast, it'll make a scene." You're insane. I'm an insane man who's about to witness the best live performance of his life. Thursday night, I finish the award. It's ridiculous in the most beautiful way. Nice frame, gold trim, with best after hours client relations printed in bold under their smiling restaurant exit photo. I keep looking at it and laughing to myself. She's going to hate how much thought I put into it. Friday morning, I bump into Isabella in the lobby before work. She's dressed like she's about to negotiate a billion-dollar merger. Sharp blazer, perfect hair, heels clicking like she's announcing her own arrival. She flashes that big, glossy smile at me. "Hey, you going to the dinner tonight?" she asks, all casual, like we're a normal couple who haven't been circling each other like rival mob bosses for weeks. "Wouldn't miss it," I say, smooth as butter. She tilts her head, doing that concerned but also smug look. "It'll be nice to celebrate something positive for a change." I keep my face neutral. "Yeah, positive." Translation, sure, nothing says positive like walking into a room full of witnesses with the emotional equivalent of C4 in my pocket. Back at my desk, Austin drops into the chair next to me like he owns the place. "You nervous?" he asks, grinning. I shake my head. "This isn't nerves. This is preparation." "Good," he says, leaning in. "You keep your cool, let the evidence talk, and let me handle the fireworks." I groan. "You're not seriously." "I've got the timing down," he interrupts, eyes sparkling like a kid who just found the matches. "You're mid-sentence. You flip the frame. Streamers go off. Everyone gasps. It's going to be perfect. You're going to get us banned from company dinners, I warn. Then it's worth it," he says, leaning back with that stupid, self-satisfied grin like he's just solved world hunger. By the time 6:45 rolls around, we're at the venue. Round tables, white tablecloths, polished silverware. The whole, we're fancy professional charade for what is, at its core, just a glorified team dinner where people drink too much and HR pretends not to notice. Theo's in a tailored blazer, looking like he practices his smirk in the mirror. Isabella's wearing the dress, her so-called special work event dress, which I'm 90% sure has been scientifically engineered to make people compliment her. They're mingling with a couple from her department, all relaxed and smug. They have no idea they're sitting on a time bomb. Austin leans toward me as the host starts wrapping up. You ready? He whispers, eyes practically glowing. I glance down at the frame in my lap, feeling the solid weight of it. Every note, every timestamp, every sneaky photo, it's all been leading to this. Been ready, I say. Confetti or metallic? He murmurs. Metallic. Knew it. He smirks like a guy who just won a bet with himself. The host beams in my direction. And now, a few words from Mason. I stand, sliding the frame under my arm like it's a loaded weapon. The chatter fades instantly, every head swiveling toward me. Isabella's smiling, expecting some warm, fuzzy speech about teamwork. Theo gives me a polite nod, the kind people give when they'd like you to know they've already forgotten your name. I let my gaze rest on both of them. Calm. Steady. Thank you. I start. It's been a great quarter. We've accomplished a lot as a team. I glance at the frame. My grip tightens. Out of the corner of my eye, I see Austin's hand disappear into his bag. Ready. Showtime. I take a slow breath, sweeping my eyes around the table before landing back on Isabella and Theo. I want that pause to marinate, to sink in deep enough that their subconscious starts screaming, oh no. It's been a great quarter. I continue, voice steady, even. We've worked hard. We've hit targets. We've supported each other through some big changes. But I let the word hang there. Some of our team members have gone above and beyond. Isabella's smile twitches, not enough for the room to catch, but enough for me. Theo leans back, lacing his fingers together like he's settling in for some harmless corporate fluff. And tonight, I say, I think we should recognize one partnership in particular. I pull the frame from under my arm, holding it so only I can see it for now, tilting my head as if I'm reading. In reality, I'm watching them like a hawk. Isabella's eyes narrow, just barely. Theo shifts in his chair, suddenly less comfortable. This award, I continue, is for Best After Hours Client Relations. I flip the frame. The photo is perfect, sharp as reality, timestamp glowing in the corner, both of them leaving the restaurant together. Her midlaugh, his hand on her back. It's basically a Hallmark poster for corporate adultery. Silence. Not polite, respectful silence. No? I mean dead, frozen, cutlery Madeira silence. You could hear the faint hum of the air conditioner, the kind of low white noise that suddenly feels deafening when the entire room has gone corpse-level silent. Isabella's smile is gone, vanished, like I'd just drop-kicked it into another dimension. She's staring at the frame like she's weighing her options between laughing it off or diving across the table to wrestle it out of my hands. Theo's face? Tight. Not the I'm holding back a laugh kind of tight. The oh God, what expression am I supposed to have right now? Kind of tight. His eyes are darting between the photo and the tablecloth like maybe one of them will give him a line to say. And then, pop. Metallic streamers burst over my left shoulder like we'd just won the Super Bowl of corporate scandals. Austin's on his feet, one arm in the air like a victorious quarterback, grinning like a man who just watched his evil plan hatch perfectly. Woo. Exposed. Someone get the camera, he shouts. The table jumps. Literally jumps. Half the room whips around to look, forks frozen midair. HR's table? Oh, they're dialed in. Leaning forward like they've been waiting all quarter for this moment. I set the frame down gently, right in front of me, like it's a sacred artifact. You know, I say, my eyes flicking between Isabella and Theo. I thought about saying a lot of things here, but honestly, I think the picture does most of the work. Isabella's voice comes out sharp, almost too fast. This is ridiculous. That was a business dinner. I raise an eyebrow, slow and deliberate, at an Italian bistro on the other side of town. 3 hours long, with no other colleagues present. And, fun fact, the client says they've never heard of this meeting. Her mouth opens, then closes. She looks at Theo like he might swoop in with a save. He doesn't. He's just staring at the table, jaw grinding like he's chewing invisible gravel. Austin leans in from my side, stage whispering in the kind of voice designed for maximum audience reach. Maybe the client was imaginary. Happens all the time. A few people snicker. Isabella's glare whips toward him, but she doesn't say a word, probably realizing sarcasm is not a sport she's winning tonight. I keep my voice calm, measured. See, I'm a big believer in recognizing hard work, but I'm an even bigger believer in transparency. And I think the team deserves to know what's going on in their department, especially when it involves two people traveling, meeting up outside work hours, and fabricating reasons for it. Theo finally decides to open his mouth. Mason, this isn't the time or place. I don't even let him finish the breath. It's exactly the time and place. I say, cutting him off so cleanly he looks like I just snipped his sentence with scissors. Because this isn't just about me. This is about the company footing expenses for client work that doesn't exist. That's everyone's time, everyone's budget, and it's about trust, which, from where I'm sitting, I lean forward just enough to let it land, is gone. From the corner of my eye, I'd already clocked Evelyn from HR glancing over at our table more than once during dinner. She wasn't here for the free steak. She'd been tracking Theo and Isabella all night like a hawk with a corporate handbook. She doesn't wait long. Evelyn stands from her table, smooth as if she'd been rehearsing the move in her head for the last 20 minutes. She walks over, expression set to calm HR mode. The one they use when they're trying to defuse a bomb without letting you know it's a bomb. All right, she says evenly. Why don't we have a quick word in private? I sit back down, folding my hands like the picture of compliance. By all means. Theo glares at me as he stands. The kind of glare people give when they're trying to set you on fire with their eyes. Isabella just sits there a second, like maybe if she stays still long enough, she'll turn invisible. But reality taps her on the shoulder, and she pushes her chair back. They follow Evelyn toward the side hallway, Theo stopping like a guy who just realized the check isn't going to split evenly. Isabella moving slower, eyes fixed on the floor. The second they're out of earshot, the murmurs kick in, low at first, then spreading like wildfire. People are leaning toward each other, whispering in that "oh my god, did you see?" tone. A guy from finance, someone I've maybe spoken 3 words to, actually raises his glass at me from across the room. No words, just that little nod of solidarity you give someone who's just pulled off a heist in broad daylight. Austin slides back into his chair, still grinning like this is the best live show he's ever attended. "You are my hero," he mutters. I smirk. "You're welcome for the best dinner you've ever been to." We both watch Theo and Isabella disappear into the hallway with Evelyn. It's been maybe 30 seconds, but the whole vibe of the room has shifted. People who wouldn't have even made eye contact with me before are suddenly curious. Colleagues who've never said more than hi in the elevator are now giving me nods like I just won an award for real. After a few minutes, the 3 of them come back. Theo looks like someone drained all the blood from his face with a turkey baster. Isabella's eyes are red. Can't tell if it's rage, tears, or maybe a mild allergy to reality. They don't even bother sliding back into their seats. Instead, they make a beeline for the coat rack, grab their stuff, and head straight for the door like they've just been told the building is on fire. Austin leans over, voice low but smug. "Walk of shame." I can't help it, I laugh. Quiet enough to pretend I'm being discreet, but not quiet enough for the guy on my right not to hear. He smirks too, which only makes it worse. Dinner technically resumes, but the vibe is as dead as last year's office Christmas tree. People are pushing around their cheesecake like it personally wronged them, still stealing glances at me between bites. HR stays planted at their table, heads tilted together, talking in that "we're plotting your future, but won't tell you yet" tone. I know they'll want to circle back with me later, and that's fine. My folder of evidence is bulletproof. It's got timestamps, receipts, and photos crisp enough to make a crime lab jealous. When the host finally calls it a night, I shake a few hands, accept a couple of good job nods, and head for the door with Austin. In the parking lot, he's practically vibrating. "Man, you nailed it. The frame? Genius. The delivery? Ice cold. And me? Perfect timing." I glance at him. "I'll give you this, the popper worked." "You think?" Half the room still has streamers in their hair. We split ways, and I head home. My phone's already lighting up, missed calls from Isabella, and one text from Theo that just says "unbelievable." I ignore them both. Inside my apartment, I set the frame on the kitchen counter. The glass catches the light like it knows it's now the MVP of my decor. I don't even need to look at it to know this isn't over. Not for them. Tonight was just the opening shot. The real fun, the fallout, is about to begin. And I'm not lifting a single finger to stop it. The day after the dinner, the building felt different. That weird, hushed atmosphere where everyone's talking, but none of it to you. Only this time, instead of avoiding me, people were giving me nods, smirks, even full-on grins as I passed. I didn't need to guess what was being said in the break rooms. I'd set off a grenade in the middle of the department, and the shrapnel was still flying. Around 10, HR called me in. Evelyn, the same HR rep from the dinner, clipboard queen, master of the polite death stare, was waiting in the small conference room with a legal pad in front of her. Her tone was friendly enough, but she had that look people get when they already know the ending of the movie and are just here to watch the deleted scenes. "Mason, we just want to confirm a few details," she said, pen poised. I didn't bother with theatrics. No official client meeting on record. Photographic evidence of repeated after-hours dinners. Timestamps from the garage logs. And confirmation from the client's own office that, surprise, no meeting was scheduled. I slid my folder across the table like I was dealing a royal flush. Everything's in here. No speculation, no opinions, just facts. She flipped through it like a professor grading an essay that was so obviously an A+, she almost seemed annoyed at how easy it was. "This is thorough," she said, nodding slightly. "Thank you for bringing it to us." She didn't say I was praying you had more than gossip, but the little sigh she let out told me she was relieved this wasn't just an episode of Office Rumors. Unplugged. By lunch, the whispers weren't whispers anymore. They were full-volume hallway conversations with my name attached. A guy from accounting walked past my desk, leaned in just enough for me to hear, and muttered, "Legend." He didn't even break stride. About 10 minutes later, Austin popped up over my cubicle wall like an excited meerkat, holding a sandwich and grinning. You should see the look on Theo's face. He's been in meetings all morning. Isabella too. I leaned back in my chair. Meetings or interrogations? He shrugged. One and the same thing. By Tuesday, both their names had vanished from the department calendar. In corporate speak, that meant don't get too comfortable. You're probably not coming back. HR wasn't even pretending otherwise. They called them into separate meetings within an hour of each other. Neither came back. 2 hours later, the department-wide email hit. Effective immediately, Isabella and Theo are no longer with the company. No farewell emails, no cupcake send-off, no awkward card passed around with half the signatures, just best wishes. Just gone. Austin strolled by my desk with a coffee like he was on vacation. "Guess it's a clean sweep," he said. "Guess so," I replied, keeping my voice neutral, though internally I was handing myself an imaginary trophy. By Thursday, the story had leaked beyond our floor. I overheard someone from another department whispering. Except it wasn't really a whisper about whether those two had really been caught faking a client meeting. The story had legs, and it was sprinting through the building. I got a call from a friend in the local marketing network. She didn't even bother with hello. "You are all over the group chats right now," she said, voice dripping with the kind of glee people get when they're delivering bad news about someone they don't like. "Me?" I asked, half distracted by the lo mein I was shoveling into my mouth. "Well, technically Isabella. But your name's in there too. Like the, catalyst." Catalyst. The polite way of saying the guy who lit the match and walked away whistling. Apparently, Isabella's name was making the rounds in not-so-flattering ways. Word was she'd been quietly blacklisted from a couple of industry events. No official statement. Just her invitations mysteriously lost in the mail. Theo wasn't far behind. People were openly saying his firing was tied to inappropriate use of company funds, which, in our circles, is basically the corporate equivalent of wearing a scarlet letter. Neither of them had reached out to me. No surprise there. I figured Theo was busy spinning the story for his family. Probably something like, "It's all politics, you know how these things go," while Isabella was in full PR crisis mode, trying to salvage her reputation before it hit the compost bin. Thing is, our industry's not that big. Once a story sticks, it's like glitter, you're never getting it out. And me? I was on my couch in sweatpants, eating takeout and watching a movie. My phone lit up a few times with messages from mutual acquaintances. Is it true? I didn't respond to most of them. Let the story run its own victory lap. The best part? I hadn't raised my voice once. I hadn't threatened, shouted, or gotten dragged into some messy emotional argument. I'd just set the truth down on the table like a plate of week-old fish and waited for the smell to do the rest. Fallout week wasn't over, not by a long shot, but the first wave had done its job. 2 careers gone in less than 5 days, and I hadn't even had to reload. About a week after Isabella's exit, things at work were back to normal for me. Meetings, deadlines, and the occasional knowing nod from someone clearly in on the story. Theo had already been shipped off to his new branch like a defective product return. I figured Isabella would just fade quietly into the background. I was wrong. It started with a text on Thursday afternoon. No hi. No hope you're well. Just, we need to talk face to face. Straight to the point, like she was issuing a subpoena. I ignored it. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed again. You owe me an explanation. I ignored that one too. If she wanted closure, she could write herself a Hallmark card. That evening, I pulled into my apartment complex, still thinking about dinner. That's when I saw it, her car, parked a few rows over. My first thought, she's here to ambush me. My second thought, yep. She stepped out from behind a concrete column just as I hit the lock button on my car. We're talking, she said, like she was a drill sergeant and I'd just been drafted. I didn't even slow down. No, you're talking. I'm walking. She fell into step behind me. You ruined my career over nothing. You embarrassed me in front of everyone. For what? Some petty vendetta. I stopped at the bottom of the stairs and turned to face her. Petty? You lied about a trip, snuck around with a coworker, and charged it to the company. That's not petty. It's called stealing from your company and cheating on your boyfriend. That's what it is. She scoffed, tossing her hair. It's not like I killed someone. People make mistakes. You were supposed to have my back. I laughed, just once, sharp. You wanted me to be your safety net while you did whatever you wanted. That's not a relationship. That's freeloading. Her face hardened instantly. I moved in with you. I built my life around you. And you just throw it away. You built your life around the wrong person, I said. And you threw it away yourself. She stepped closer, trying for intimidation, but mostly giving off irate chihuahua energy. You think you're some hero? Everyone's talking about what a jerk you are. They think you're a narcissist who couldn't handle me having male friends. I didn't flinch. Let them. Facts ended your job. Not me. She stared at me for a long second, jaw tight, then spat. You'll regret this. Not likely, I said, and headed upstairs. The next morning, regret still hadn't shown up, but a nice, long, art gallery-worthy scratch on my car had. From headlight to rear bumper. Deep enough to catch with a fingernail, which is the universal test for, yep, this is gonna cost me real money. I didn't need to guess who did it. Let's just say my suspect pool was one person deep, and she didn't exactly have an alibi. The complex has security cameras, so I went straight to the office. The manager pulled up the footage, 11:37 p.m., hoodie up, dragging something sharp along my car before driving off in a vehicle I knew far too well. Filed a police report right there. Vandalism, clear video evidence, I told the officer. He took my statement and said they'd be contacting her. He had that cop look of, yep, I've seen this soap opera before. Around lunch, my phone rang. Isabella. I didn't pick up, because why ruin my sandwich? But the voicemail was gold. You're really calling the cops over a car scratch? Grow up. You think this scares me? You're pathetic. Ah yes, I'm not mad. You're mad defense. Solid legal strategy. That evening, pounding on my door like she was trying to evict me from my own apartment. I checked the peephole. Isabella, pacing like a caged zoo animal. I cracked the door just enough to talk. You need to leave. She crossed her arms. You called the police on me. Do you know how insane that looks? Not that was a logical step. Vandalizing my property because you're mad was insane and stupid. She stepped forward. You're blowing this out of proportion. It's just a car. It's my car, I said flatly. You don't touch it. You don't touch anything of mine. You don't call. You don't text. You're done. Her eyes narrowed. You're really going to pretend you're the victim. I don't need to pretend. The video does it for me. She let out a bitter laugh. You think you've won? I'll be fine. I always land on my feet. I smiled. Good luck, because right now you're jobless, facing a criminal charge, and, from what I hear, sleeping on a friend's couch. That one hit. Her jaw tightened like she was trying to crush a walnut in her teeth, but she didn't say anything. She turned and walked off, muttering under her breath. Turns out I wasn't wrong. Word around the building was she'd been bouncing between friends since the firing. Nobody wants a roommate with no income and a police record pending. Not unless they're actively trying to live in a true crime documentary. Theo wasn't doing much better. A mutual contact told Austin he'd broken up with his wife and was now renting a single room in some guy's basement across town. Demoted, broke, and trying to consult freelance, which in our industry is code for no one's hiring me, but I'm too proud to put that on LinkedIn. 2 days later, an officer called to tell me Isabella had been officially served. She could either pay for the damage and accept the charge or fight it in court. Either way, she was out money she didn't have. Austin texted me that night. Heard about the car. You want me to bring popcorn to court? You bring streamers, we're done. By the weekend, even neighbors I barely knew had heard. One stopped me in the parking lot. Was that your car? Yep. She was yelling out here last week about how you set her up. Yeah, that tracks. That week, it hit me. None of this was really about me anymore. It was about her losing control. For years, she'd been able to spin her own reality and get people to go along with it. This time, nobody bought it. Every move she made now only made her look worse. And the best part? I didn't have to do a thing. Just kept my door shut, my phone on silent, and let her dig her own hole. By the end of the month, she was couch surfing, broke, facing a charge, and still refusing to admit it was her fault. Theo was just as broke, just as unwanted, and suddenly invisible in the industry he thought he owned. Isabella was later arrested on the charges of vandalism. Her arrest video went viral a day later. One of the officers spoke calmly. Ma'am, we need you to turn around and place your hands behind your back. She laughed. For what? For expressing myself? You think I'm scared of you clowns. The cop kept it professional. For vandalism and destruction of property. That's when she went off. You're all a bunch of pigs. You can't arrest me for telling the truth. When they tried to cuff her, she jerked back so hard that one of the officers stumbled. Then she threw a wild elbow, connected right with the guy's jaw. He swore under his breath, grabbed her arm, and they both went down in a tangle. "Get off me, you fascist," she screamed, kicking like a toddler mid-tantrum. By the time they hauled her up and shoved her into the back of the cruiser, her face was red, hair wild, still spitting insults like they were going to magically undo the handcuffs. "We're adding resisting arrest and assault on an officer. This isn't going to be a slap on the wrist," one of the officers said. The day of Isabella's sentencing was like watching a slow-motion train wreck, and I had front-row seats. She shuffled into the courtroom in a bright orange jumpsuit, her wrists cuffed, hair pulled back like she'd just woken up angry. She was already scowling before she even sat down, probably still convinced that her artistic protest was some kind of noble cause. I sat in the second row, arms crossed, staring at the back of her head. My car was still sitting in the body shop because she'd decided to use it as her personal billboard. Hood to bumper, she'd scratched some half-baked slogans I couldn't even read without squinting. The judge, a gray-haired man with the patience of a stone statue, gave her one last chance to speak before handing down the sentence. Instead of showing an ounce of remorse, Isabella doubled down. She smirked, spat on the polished floor, and sneered, "You're just another puppet in a broken system." Then, as if that wasn't enough, she slowly raised her middle finger and held it there for the entire courtroom to see. Gasps rippled through the gallery. One woman actually clutched her pearls. The judge's voice stayed calm, but there was an unmistakable steel edge to it. "Ms. Rivera, you stand before this court convicted of multiple offenses: felony vandalism of Mr. Mason's vehicle, assault on 2 police officers, resisting arrest, and now, due to your conduct here today, disorderly conduct in court." He leaned forward slightly. "Given your lack of remorse, your prior record, and your blatant contempt for the law, I am sentencing you to the maximum allowable penalties. 3 years in state prison and a $10,000 fine for the vandalism, 5 years for the assaults, 2 years for resisting arrest, and 1 year for disorderly conduct, each to be served consecutively. You will also pay full restitution to your victims." He didn't raise his voice, but the weight of his words hit like a sledgehammer. "Bailiffs, take her away." Isabella opened her mouth to scream something obscene, but the bailiffs were already on her, dragging her toward the side door as she kicked, cursed, and promised revenge. The heavy clang of the courtroom door locking behind her was the last sound I heard before stepping outside into the sunlight. I exhaled, feeling like I'd been holding my breath for months. A week later, I brought home Rex, a black and tan German shepherd with more loyalty in his paws than Isabella had in her entire body. He wasn't just a dog. He was a companion, a shadow at my side, and a reminder that real friends don't stab you in the back or key your car. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.